Couldn't appreciate it more. Couldn't be more proud than to have my brothers and sisters in arms out here. Let's get a little tally of who we got out here. We got my brothers and sisters from the Army out here. All right, we got a good Army presence. Navy? You guys are happy to hear from Dan? Yeah, Dan, you know, if you were here listening to Dan, then you know he told you that he and I, we get after each other. We're pretty good friends, but we get after each other. The reason you can hear me so much better is because he couldn't see how far away the microphone was from his face. So he was screwing that up. Dan's got a lot of perseverance, though. I mean, he spent an entire career being a resilient Navy SEAL, but resilient to the point that I don't know how you live in the shadow of the Army for an entire military career. Being in the, it's got to be difficult. I know it can't be easy. It wasn't easy for him. Sometimes he cries on my shoulder a little bit. Dan's a good friend. We got some Air Force veterans in here. Very good. Very good. Marine veterans in here. It's exactly what I expect to hear out of the Marines. Coast Guard. I hear it a little bit. Semper Paratus. Space Force. Yeah, there we go. You got it. Well, I just want to start by saying this to you all. Dan talked a little bit about saying thank you. And sometimes we can feel like the thank yous are a little bit flippant. But I want to say thank you to each and every one of you because I really do know how heroic you all have been. All of you men and women, you veterans that we just went over, Army, Navy, Marines, Air Force, Coast Guard, Space Force. And I want to tell you why I want to say thank you to you all. I was writing this speech earlier today after the inauguration. I was just thinking in my head about all the things that I wanted to thank all of you for. And this is what I came up with. You all offered your life in exchange for freedom to be upheld not just in the United States, but in every single corner of the earth. You accepted the responsibility to guard America and its values that President Trump spoke about today. You know that you do not take this obligation and this sense of duty lightly. And when we say thank you, when I say thank you to you, it's thanking you for the firm knowledge that whether you volunteered or you were drafted or you were in the active duty or the Guard or Reserve, that you offered your whole self, your last thoughts, your last breath, the last beat of your heart in service to this country and in service to the people across this entire nation. When I say thank you to you all, I want to thank you for the heroism that you've shown. Thank you for the hatred that you have for the evil of our enemies and the love that you have for those that serve to your left and right. I want to thank you for serving alongside our brothers and sisters, always having their back in combat, for making sure that the interests of your country were always placed above your own. I want to thank you for demonstrating to the whole world just how much a person is capable of, and for the not 1 second taking liberty for granted because you know the true cost of defending liberty. I want to thank you for defending millions I want to thank you for defending millions whom you've never met, whom many will protest you, scorn you, don't have the faintest appreciation for the sacrifices that you made on their behalf. I want to thank you for the dangerous and the austere life that you live that's branded certainly painful and brutal images on your soul if you spent time in combat. But I want to thank you for answering a call to duty few have the stomach to undertake, even less are capable of. You've shown uncommon characteristics such as courage, valor, selflessness. Those are words that we don't take for granted. I want to thank you for yoking your body with an 8-pound rifle, hundreds of rounds of ammunition, 30-plus pounds of body armor, a 6-pound helmet, explosives, grenades, everything required to save the life of another service member, as well as everything needed to survive for days on end. I want to thank you for carrying that load for miles and days through the most unforgiving climates across Europe, the harshest mountains of Afghanistan, the frozen grounds of Korea, the jungles of Southeast Asia, the scorching sands of Africa or throughout the Middle East, all in the face of actual mortal combat. I want to thank you for defining camaraderie, for sleeping in the field, sleeping on the ground, sometimes not sleeping at all, jumping out of planes, roping out of helicopters, kicking indoors, surviving in swamps, and jungles and deserts and places so hot that heat exhaustion is simply an everyday occurrence and heat stroke is an everyday threat, and also places so bitterly cold that you could scarcely dig a foxhole for your defense while your fingers suffer from frostbite. I want to thank you for a few more things. I want to thank you for the willingness to have bullets fired at you, RPGs launched at your vehicles, grenades and mortars hurled at you, to have bombs dropped on you, snipers target you, for not fearing landmines and improvised explosive devices, flying beyond the lines of our enemy, though you may be shot down or captured. And if you were one of those few that had to endure the pain and the cruelty of wartime captivity, most of us could never possibly imagine what that is like. You fought a war without guns and without knives and without support of any kind, without knowing if that would ever end. If that was any of you, I want to thank you for that. I want to thank you for service members for using your body as a shield to protect other sons and daughters from any enemy willing to take both of your lives. I want to thank you for taking that size 12 in the backside, because we all know that's the preferred method of motivation for the military. And I want to thank you for giving me that size 12 in the backside, because it helped make me who I am today. I want to thank our veterans for the pieces of your heart, which you left behind in places like Pearl Harbor and the Battle of the Bulge in Iwo Jima, and the pieces left behind at the Chosin Reservoir, those left behind in Khe Sanh and during the Easter Offensive, the pieces left behind in Panama, Grenada, and Iraq, the pieces left behind in Mogadishu and Bosnia and Fallujah and Kandahar, those pieces left behind at the Abbey Gate and every other place that your service caused you to leave a little piece of yourself behind. I want to thank you for leaving behind your husband or your wife, for missing births of your sons and daughters, for missing their birthdays and missing anniversaries and football games and plays, for missing dinner and bath time and being gone for months and sometimes years on end. I want to thank you for sharing your last drop of water, your last bite of food, your last bit of ammo with a comrade who would in a second do the exact same thing for you. I want to thank you for engaging our enemies in combat, for taking a bullet in the leg or arm, for being burned beyond recognition, for taking shrapnel in the eye like my buddy Dan, or in the chest, for the broken bones, for every drop of blood, for not leaving our fallen behind. I want to thank you for having the strength to carry that letter in your pocket, which you promised to deliver to your best friend's spouse or family, should anything ever happen to them. I want to thank you for the salutes that you've held through taps and 21-gun salutes and before a soldier's cross. And I want to thank you for going to war for us. Though your children may have to grow up without you, it's going to get very loud because of your sacrifice, though your spouse may be one day handed a flag in remembrance of you, I want to thank you for loving a country so damn much that you were willing to die for it, and thank you that you would be willing to do it all again. And I want to thank on this day President Trump and Vice President Vance, who will make America worthy of every one of your sacrifices and the sacrifices of all those who came before us. They're not just going to make America great again. They're going to do everything that they can to make sure that America is the greatest that it has ever been. And so with that, I just want to say, may God bless each and every one of you. May God bless all of our current service members at home and abroad. And may God bless the United States of America.